What's up guys, Funk with you, and today we're going to do a quick reading vlog. I'm going to update everyone on where I'm at with my reading goals, what I'm reading now, and what I plan on reading in the near future. You know, I found myself in a reading slump recently, and I have several different books going, couldn't figure out why I couldn't get into a book. I was in a slump, and I think that has now passed, and I have quite a few different things going. So the first thing that I'm currently reading is Different Seasons by Stephen King, a beat-up paperback copy, not even intact. I did finish the first story, Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. I'm going to be reviewing it soon. I'm about halfway through the second story in this collection, Apt Pupil, which is a really interesting book, and I'm going to say more about that shortly, but this is a book by Stephen King that I need to read. It's my 50th Stephen King book. It'll be my 50th completed King read, and I'm really liking it so far. I especially liked Rita Hayworth, so I'm looking forward to finishing this up. Might even watch the movies involved with this. The second one, or the third story, is The Body, also known as the movie Stand By Me, and The Breathing Method is in this one as well. So this is a very beloved Stephen King collection, and I could tell the voice, the prose in this one, the tone is old Stephen King, if you know what I'm talking about. So I'm looking forward to finishing up Different Seasons and reviewing every story in it. Next up, I also have a book of short stories by my second favorite author, Alastair Reynolds. This one's called Galactic North, and it's involved with the Revelation Space series, my second favorite series of all time, second only to the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I finished the trilogy that makes up the Revelation Space trilogy, Revelation Space, Redemption Arc, and Absolution Gap, and there's more to the story. So this book of short stories here adds to the Revelation Space story, and it actually ends, chronologically speaking, with one of the short stories in this book. So I've got to get this finished up. You know, something that can happen with me when I go into a reading slump is I won't be able to get into a book, so I'll start another one, and won't be able to get into that one, so I'll start another one, and I can have all these books started like I do now. And something that can happen when I do that is that I won't finish a lot of them, right? When I finally get back into the mood of reading, I just want to go on with something new, and I'm not going to allow that to happen. So now that I'm back in the mood for reading, I'm going to finish every one of these books that I have started. So I have 3 fiction books going, 3 nonfiction. The last fiction piece that I have going is Death Masks, the 5th book in the Dresden Files series by Jim Butcher. This is one of my favorite series of all time. I'm really liking this one. I didn't get far in it. I'm almost 100 pages in. The Shroud of Turin is involved with this one. You know, I really like Harry Dresden. This is another weird case. Harry Dresden is a professional wizard, Chicago's only professional wizard. He's a private detective, and he also gets involved with the Chicago Police Department when there are cases that happen where magic is involved. They call him in to help them with those kinds of cases, and I really like this. This story is evolving. This series is evolving before my very eyes. One more point on this one. Something that's different about this. You know, when it comes to fantasy, right? We have 2 different kinds of fantasy series, basically. We have the epic that is one long dramatic tale from book to book to book to book. It's one continuous plot, right? Book 2 starts where book 1 left off. Then we have the other kind of series where there's a recurring character, but each book is a different case, basically, right? The James Patterson Alex Cross series is a good example of this. We have one character who evolves, and the story does in some ways continue on from book to book concerning that recurring character's personal life, but each book takes on a different plot, right? This is kind of a merger of those 2 different styles. Each case with this, Harry is working a different criminal case that's happening. Sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 different problems are going on for Harry in one book. But also, we have things that are left over from the previous book that are still working themselves out. So this is kind of like a combination of the 2 styles of series that I mentioned. And I really like it. I don't know if I should call this an epic fantasy series or not. I'm not really sure, but I love this series of books. The first nonfiction that I'm going to mention here, Jujutsu University by Saulo Ribeiro. About 8 months ago or so, I started rolling Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and being a book reader, I wanted a self-help manual for that, and that's what this is, and it is a fantastic read. Anyone who does Jiu-Jitsu knows about this book. It's quite incredible. This was kind of published at a time before videos were super popular, and I learn best by reading the text and even looking at pictures. I don't know why, I'm just a book person, but I really like this, and I'm about halfway through it now, so I'm looking forward to going back through this, and this book will be one that I come back to and read over and over and over. I'm only going to read it straight through once, which is what I'm doing now, but I will come back to pieces and parts of this many times, so I will be reviewing this when I get it finished up. It's been a big help to me, and it will be for some time to come. I'll mention this one quickly. I'm reading Logic for Dummies. It's my second For Dummies book. I read Philosophy for Dummies, which I thought was a fairly good book, and I like the style of these For Dummies books. They're kind of funny, and they're also very serious, and I like the way that they're structured with anecdotes and little stories and things that go in. You might think that these aren't very sophisticated, and in some sense they're not, but they're also very in-depth in a lot of ways, so these are great mediums for learning. I've found, for me, the For Dummies books are absolutely phenomenal. I'm looking forward to Psychology for Dummies and Neuroscience for Dummies, and there are For Dummies books on topics that I would have never even thought. I was at the library the other day and I was browsing and I found that there are a ton of these For Dummies books on so many different topics. It's crazy, but I really love these. They're a really good way for me to learn. So I'm looking forward to reading some more of these and reviewing them in the future. Final one that I'll mention here is a nonfiction piece, a very serious piece. I'm listening to the audiobook right now. I'm someone that likes to listen to the audiobook and read the text simultaneously, and I don't have a copy of this one right now. I just put a request in at the library for this, so soon I'll have both formats, but it's called KL, A History of the Nazi Concentration Camps by Nicholas Washman. And it's a take on the concentration camp system in Nazi Germany and the surrounding areas. It's like a chronological, big picture take on this historical issue. And I like studying World War II. And for many people, the concentration camps are synonymous with World War II. So I think that this is going to be a kind of gruesome historical read, but I think it's going to be a valuable historical read. It's called KL, A History of the Nazi Concentration Camps by Nicholas Washman, W-A-C-H-S-M-A-N. And I've already completed 2 chapters of it, and I think it's going to be a pretty good read. That's what I've got going on here, guys. I'm finding myself just now coming out of a reading slump, and I've got a bunch of stuff started, and I don't want to just go into Oathbringer, which is a novel that I want to read. I want to finish this stuff up first, and I'm going to do that. I want to read Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson, the 3rd book in the Stormlight Archive series. I'm going to be covering that in the near future here on the channel. Really love that series by Brandon Sanderson. I might even read the novella Edge Dancer before I go into Oathbringer. Haven't decided yet. I've got a lot on my plate right now. And I also want to read Stephen King's The Stand after I finish up different seasons. And I have some other nonfiction books that I'm considering reading as well. I have one. Actually, I'll grab it. The First World War by John Keegan is the name of this one. It kind of goes with what I just talked about, a history of the Nazi concentration camps. Reading books on World War II, I've come to realize that to understand the Second World War, you got to know something about the First World War. It shows why the Second World War happened, so I want to get some background on my future World War II books by reading this one. It's been on my shelf for about a year now. It's about time I read the thing. So there you have it, guys. That's where I'm at with my reading. Please drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for everything reading. If you love to read, you might want to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you next time.